welcome, everyone. As you join in, as Stevie and I, and we'll have some other guests coming through. As we go through and talk through the Michael movie, which opened up this past weekend. But before we get into that, and so if anyone has watched it, it would be great if you join us and share your feedback and reviews. We try not to add any spoilers, just as best we can for those who plan to watch it. But anyway, yeah, all things Michael Jackson today, and then tomorrow we are going to do our countdown on the Thriller album, so that should be a good one as well. Um, and drop us a note so we know that you're here. Liz West, welcome. Anyway, Stevie, how are you doing?
Come on, mother sucker.
Okay, okay. Is I take it you did. Okay, well, actually, this isn't better. I take it you did see the Michael movie.
Yeah, I went first thing this morning, 9:45 a.m. I thought to myself,
Oh, that's quite early.
let's get the early showing so we can avoid all the school skids and all the vaporizing teenagers that kind of piling a bit later on. And I thought I'll avoid all the MJ wannabes, fake MJs, the ones that try to dance and disrupt the cinema. So I thought I'll avoid all that, and I got a whole cinema. I think I got more or less whole cinema to myself, mate. It was amazing.
Okay.
There was about another 8 people in attendance, and there was you didn't notice them. They're in the corners, scattered about. It was like a whole Neverland cinema all to myself, mate. To watch
Okay, but that was like 9 in the morning. I didn't even realize the most cinemas don't even show their first screen till almost 11 or 10. So that
9:45. It's a 9:45 showing, mate.
Okay. Benson's okay. We're gonna get you to come on and to give us your rundown as to what you end up doing. Um, Elena says I saw the movie as a fan. I loved it. I was not looking for what was missing. I think that is a point there, is that you could go in there looking like, where's that? How come that? Oh, Bubbles is a little too small, and then focus on that. But anyway, um, okay, and we're gonna get people, and I'm gonna put in the chat the link, so if anyone wants to join in and say what you thought of the movie, and people can comment and stuff, then that would be a good thing. But what was your take on the movie first, Stevie?
Let's talk about the build-up first. I think we should talk about the build-up and the slow releasing of trailers that they did. Because for me, I was worried. I thought this was going to be absolutely trash, mate. I thought it was going to be an AI mess. That's what I thought. And then these leaks start. I'd seen some of the trailers, and I was like, I just don't know. I don't know. And then the reviews have started to trickle out since last week.
The critics.
Yeah, a lot of them are panning it, but I noticed the fans who were coming out of the cinema were loving it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to read. I think I read one review. I think it was The Independent made a review it, and they give it 1 star out of 5. And I thought, I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to go to the movie and just make my own mind up. I just wanted. And I've said this in my own because I've got a video review dropping next week. I just wanted an good old-fashioned cinema popcorn movie where if you're going to go to a horror movie, you want to come out there, frightened to death. It's done its job then. You come out of a horror movie, you're frightened to death, you're like, mate, that means that movie's done its job. I just wanted to feel like I'd gone back to the 80s as a Michael Jackson fan as a kid. And it made me feel, thank God it made me feel like that. It did make me feel, like you said, Namdi, we could pick holes. There's so many holes we could pick in this movie. There was scenes in it where you're like, it's just so far-fetched. There's just no way that ever happened. You know what I mean? It just looked complete fantasy land, but it's a film. It's what you're here for.
Yeah.
it did seem to move on a bit too quickly, like you say. But if you just want a really entertaining, euphoric, uplifting popcorn movie to take your missus out, your girlfriend, your wife, the kids, your friends, just go and see it.
Oh, yeah.
Go and see it, and then just enjoy yourself. Get lost in the moment. Forget about everything that's going on in your life, and just sit there, get your popcorn and your drink, and just enjoy yourself. Because
Okay.
that's what the cinema's dying to get people in, get people back to the cinema. We need more films like that. That's what we need.
Yeah. Yeah. Anthony, welcome. Femini, welcome as well. Appreciate the love. Um, so I would say that when the critics also gave it low ratings because they said, oh, they didn't include the any of the allegations, they didn't address that, and so to them that and it tried to make him look like this superstar and stuff, and trying to make it celebrate him. And I'm like, when people make movies, if they're making a western, if they're making a historic movie, they can't tell the same story over and over again. So what they do is they say, well, let's just focus on this part. We can't cover this his lifestyle. It wasn't as though, like most recording artists who in their teens or later life, even Elvis, he wasn't singing when he was 6 years old. He didn't have a career in a boy band that was the biggest boy band, had a number one record when he was 8 years old. And so there's so much of that history to cover. And then there's so much that they you can only fit in a 2 hour movie. It wasn't like a 30-minute movie. Um, and so I took umbrage to the critics for just saying, well, because they didn't cover this, so it's a rubbish movie. And it felt to me, looking at those reviews, is that we're going to try and destroy his reputation, and we're going to, as much as we can, whether he's dead or alive. They put a lot more stock in that documentary. Is it Leaving Neverland or something like that?
Mhm.
As though that was the be and all of who he is. So anything that doesn't address any of that, that means it is we don't we think it's all just whitewash. That documentary came out after Michael had died, so he wasn't around to defend himself. But he has been to court. He's been persecuted. He has gone to court, and he's never lost. And so but people will still hold that onto him. For me personally, as I said, I went into the movie expecting it to be bad. I because the way 'cause I heard somebody's going to come on Ben, and he gave me his thoughts, and I thought, oh man, this is going to be bad. So I just went in and said, well, I'm just going to watch it and expect it to be bad. But I was surprised that my cinema was packed, and this was on a Wednesday, in Kent, and it was packed.
Wow.
And some family brought their, I think she was probably 8 year old daughter, but it was packed, and I was surprised. It was a 7 o'clock evening showing, and I was watching it, and as I was watching it, there were scenes that, as a parent, I was watching, especially when his dad, um, it was disciplining him, and it just evoked memories of, could I do imagine my own son, and then even when he got older and he had done Thriller, and he was still living in a family home, and dad was still dictating, and he was still afraid of his dad, and I'm thinking, my goodness, he'll go to award shows, he'll carry all the Grammys, and he'll come back home, and his dad can just walk into his bedroom and say, okay, and you're going to do this, and I'm like, that's so surreal, that how under the control that dad had them. And so seeing all of this, and then I'll just finish up by saying, Jafar, there were times when I forgot that wasn't Michael. The way his mannerism, his you can look and says, that looks like Jermaine, but he looks like Michael in some ways. But he embodied the character that I just he didn't. In the past, they've gone people who Flex famously played him. Put all his white makeup on and a wig, and they just look so cartoonish. But he just looked and embodied him, and maybe because it was his earlier years and stuff. And so I just thoroughly enjoyed the whole relationship and the whole storytelling. But I know that there's so much, so much, so much more that they still had to cut out for them to put in a part two. Um, just looking at some of yeah, everyone said, I'm glad the fans stood out for the critics. Reese says, yes, I loved the movie. I really enjoyed watching Jafar playing his uncle. Definitely, yes. Yes, okay. Um, I'm going to copy the link and put it in the chat here. I know Benson, and so anybody, Benson, if you want to, anyone that wants to come up and give us, if you've watched the movie,
Please come on and give us, if you've seen a movie, come on for a few minutes or whatever. Tell us your thoughts about the movie, your experience of it, good or bad. We're not gonna judge you. We just want to hear what you think.
Yeah, yeah. I've enjoyed it so much. I've watched it 4 times already. Wow, Nicole.
Wow.
Nicole has watched it 4 times. I thought that too. I thought, let me see. I thought some of the scenes I saw his dad, and I see Michael, and sometimes I was like, oh goodness. I think I don't think, based on how the critics rated it, I don't think they're going to focus on the awards. But I think when the movie starts to make 500 plus million, I think it will. I think they'll, and they are able to do the part two. I think they will just give some respect, and I think what I appreciate is that the community came out. I almost think this almost reminds me of when the original Black Panther movie came out, and everyone just went in to support the movie because, like, finally, there's a film, a superhero that looks like us, and is representing, and they went out. The community went out in their droves, and despite the critics, the community went out has been going out in their droves saying, "Yeah, you need to go watch this movie," because those gone are the days when we're getting um, Love Jones and Poetic Justice um, and all those ones on there. Okay, our first guest has decided to come in.
Yes.
Good evening, Vincent. How are you doing?
Yes. Hello, sir. Can you hear us?
Are you able to hear
How you
him?
doing, Stevie? Can you find money? Sorry. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, so we see the Black Panther at the back. Yes, okay. What did you so tell me about your, because the movie came out in England on Wednesday. How did you spend your Wednesday?
You're. I was back on Wednesday out there at 10:30 at the IMAX. I'd booked 6 seats because I didn't want anyone bothering me. So I had one either side empty and 3 in front. So that was good. And then I just kind of ended the final showing I watched was 10:30 at night in Bolton. The View. You'll know the View Cinema, Stevie, at Middleborough.
Yeah.
Watched it there. About 1 o'clock in the morning that finished, so I was pretty knackered, yeah.
What? So you spent all day watching it?
I watched it 5 times, yeah. I had to stop out. I had a game of snooker with a pal for a couple of hours, but then we got 5 times. I just wanted to make sure I got it. Yeah. Well,
mate, that's amazing.
I'm I've got all of the tickets for This Is It. I saved I booked tickets for 10 shows. All my tickets were on. So I've got all the tickets and I've got all the programs from the original concerts. I've history, dangerous. So I've been seeing everything. But no, I'm really sorry. I didn't like it at all. I was really disappointed.
You see it 5 times and you're disappointed.
What was your reason for being disappointed?
Well, so as a fan, I have lots of debates, I would say, aren't as big a fan as me, and they'll say, "Oh, he did this with this person, he did that with that person," and I'll just spend ending them and giving them all the facts about what really happened. And I would have liked to, because obviously the original film, 1993, with Jackson at Neverland and the FBI arriving, they're also going to have footage of him naked, body searched, all that kind of stuff, which is horrible. What he actually had to go through, and instead they went for this messianic figure, where we have to see him go into hospitals giving kids toys. Why couldn't we see him dating Stephanie Mills, Diana Ross? Why couldn't we see the fact that that's not his real voice and he created that as a persona? Why couldn't we see Beatles catalogue? Because apparently Paul McCartney's in part 2. Well, he bought the Beatles catalogue just after Thriller. So if the next part is covering Dangerous, etc., that one, why can't we see him doing the negotiations with Sony? I wanted them to show this him that he had. I wanted them to show he wasn't just a performer. He ended up owning half of Sony. He owned Elvis, the Beatles. There's actually an who did a video of him, and rather than call him named, he just went out and bought the rights to all of Eminem's catalogue. Every time Eminem wanted to perform it, so I wanted to see that. It just wasn't there, and I'm sorry, but that monkey. I mean, they were CGI from 1985. That was horrendous. What was all our millions on that film? And the estate decided at the very last minute to say, because on food quarries, because they wanted it to be gritty. So they wanted to just go ahead on and say, right, let's deal with the accusation. Like, show what really happened, show the fact that he never agreed, and the legal documents where it says the insurance company paid because they were worried it was going to cost millions. So on that documents, it clearly says paid under the duress and without the agreement of Michael Jackson. He never ever wanted to pay that kid in the first place. Never. Taken out. It's 20 million. He just sold the rights to his music for like a license for so many years. That was worth 80 million. So he just, whatever, 20 million quid, whatever, and get on with your life. I just wanted, there was so much more. There's a famous quote he made when he just signed for This Is It. And he said to his bodyguard, he walked out of the meeting room, his bodyguard, and he said, now what, the vultures? They'll come out from everywhere. And this is exactly what's going with it. Because if it's Marlon, it's Jermaine. Jermaine gets his nephew, which was, don't get me wrong, Jamal was really impersonator, albeit he got, yeah, okay, so I'll give you, sorry, I'm going on. But there's like in the Motown 25, there's a famous story. He does the moons and he has to go on his tours and he messes it up, and he doesn't do it. He goes off stage and he's crying because he thinks he's done an absolutely rubbish job. Then he gets a phone call from Fred Astaire, who asks him to see the movie, all this kind of stuff. You watch this film, Jafar does it perfectly, and then he says, "Oh, I didn't stay on the tip of my toes as long as I wanted to." Not, and I wanted them to show the real person that he was such a perfect. And then even, I mean, God, even he's doing, I'm giving stuff away. He's doing Human Nature in the Victory Tour, but he's doing all the dance moves from the recordings from Bad Tour Wembley. Then you see him doing Working Day and Night at the end of the Victory Tour, and he's saying, "See you later, guys." It's the end of it. Put it down to the. Can't even get the right song.
So I think that's the thing about. Yeah. So I think there's a difference when, if you are going in and watching it through the lens of, as I said to you, that I'm a Marvel person. So and so when I see the fact that they've made Thor look like a clown, when in fact he was probably as strong as Thanos, you then start to say, okay, well, it's a movie. They've got to balance it out, and I think that yes, there were, and I think I saw Questlove saying that he was like, no, that wasn't what he was wearing. No, that song wasn't there, and you could pick into those things, but then you then wonders about, okay, could the movie Anton was originally scheduled to direct that they shot, would that make the money? Would it appeal to a global audience um, at this stage? And they probably thought, how would that go down financially? And I think at the end of
No,
the
that's
day,
not the
the
case.
director
That's
wants
not
to.
the case.
Okay.
Sorry, the reason that isn't in them, they shot it all. The Chandler family reminded the estate that there was an NDA in place to say you can in this case. So at the very last minute, because the film, don't forget, the film was meant to be out last year. So
Yeah.
in the very last minute, they said to sorry guys, we forgot to tell you, you can't put any of this in. So they then spent $15 million ripping it all out, and then they decided to go on the route, the theme of Joseph Jackson was horrible, and he was abusive, which he was, but that was the route they went instead. So the reason they got food quarrying, all that stuff was the estate made such a colossal mistake and just forgot that this NDS had gone down instead. So that was all meant to be in, and it would have been brilliant because they would have, shown all the doubters, all the critics. This is the, but then now they can't. So I understand what the critics are saying, because it does, although it finished it in, when bad started, obviously it does whitewash the stuff. I don't understand why they've got him
Well,
sat
like
there
you say,
pointing at Peter
it's not,
Pan.
it doesn't seem to get past 1984. Like you say, there's a bit of bad at the end, very, very minute. But all these allegations, what he went through after, surely that's coming in the next movie. That's what I thought, anyway.
I hope so, because I don't know how they're going to do it, because they can't go anywhere near the Jordan Chandler story. The NDA is in
No,
place
but
forever.
they can talk about he's been accused. How
Mhm.
they, but how he can't talk about. Well, you're forced to pay them off. I mean, I think you can, because that was being searched. You can still show all of that. The details of how this case was settled, that in itself is probably where they have to be ambiguous about that. Um, but I mean, and I think it's a quite different from somebody like you, coming from the lens that you're coming from, and for the general fat public, that would be like trying to celebrate the career and almost remember. Now, if I had any, I wish they had, like when they, if they're doing like reenacting Thriller, I wish there was more of why he felt it was important to shoot the video, because of what he sees it doing, more so than just re-showing it. Um, I like the scene of CBS when he was talking to the president of CBS, saying, and they're like saying to MTV, "Look, if we don't play this, we're pulling." And I definitely wanted to see more of that level of Michael. Um, but then I realized, as I say, when I looked around in the audience, I think for the level of the audience that showed up, I think there was a sense of, let's help younger people rediscover this person who died before they were born. And if you do the training day version of the story, you don't get new fans on board. You keep the old fans, but you're not going to get too many new fans. The direction they went, as I said, if my kids watch it, they're like, "Oh my goodness!" So he did this, and oh, look at his dad was mean, and look at all these things. I'm gonna go watch the videos more, and so that's definitely a balancing act as to how, what version of him do you portray at the first go, and
I mean,
it is
he's done
never. I'm
$85
sure.
million already.
Yeah, I mean, that just because you know what, there are many people who, like yourself, have gone again, but I've seen the way the buzz. I actually walked out there like okay, this was, I really enjoyed it. In fact, I can't wait to go back and start to look at certain things that I didn't really see in the first time. Um, because you know, yeah, it's a pity that the family is somewhat divided. You know, Randy and Janet and Ruby deciding, okay, you know, but and then I think when you see, I probably might not have even put Latoya there, and I would just focus on the boys and had the meetings with mom, dad, and the boys, so that you don't then start noticing who's missing and stuff. But as I said, I think it's the, as best as they can. They had to do work with what they had and stuff. Um,
Hey, we need to mention young Michael, that little dude that played young Michael at the beginning. You didn't see much of
Yeah.
that, but his voice, oh my, his voice was unbelievable.
mm,
What
yeah,
Yeah, it
that's
was
his
very
voice.
good.
That's how
Yeah.
he sings. That is a serious talent.
But again, Stevie, you've got. But again, you've got who was really significant, more of a father to him than Joseph Jackson ever was, and you give him a hug, and then that was the last you saw of him. Where's the piece where he looks
Well, that's it.
after him?
That's why
Where's
you
the
could
piece
pick holes,
where
because it moved fast. The movie did move very quickly through the years,
mm,
you know. And I just think they've
Delivery
probably thought,
Night
let's just make this it just felt like a general popcorn movie for all ages. Let's just
yeah,
hit this, and this. We'll give you the scenes you really want to see. Get your popcorn ready. Enjoy
mm,
yourself. Dance, whatever. And the more detailed stuff you want to see, Mark, was taken out by the sounds of it. It wasn't there, and you feel kind of disappointed about that. Really, as a staunch fan, I guess that's what you was expecting more of that. I just wanted
I just
to.
want people. I just want people. Sorry, mate. I just want
go
people
ahead.
to know he wasn't just somebody you could walk. There's a
Yeah,
whole
it's a
piece
valid
about
point. You've got a valid
he
point,
lived
mate.
with Diana Ross, and she took him out. She taught him. She gave him all the worldly knowledge. There's the big piece about 25. He didn't want
That'd
to
have
do
been
it,
great.
and very good. He had to go and ask him,
But
and
oh goodness,
he said, "Well, Billy Dean," and it's all that planning of that piece, and after he performed Billie Jean, the album was selling. It kind of slowed down. It was selling 1 million copies a week for 14 weeks. No album's ever done that since. But
yeah,
all you got was a little piece of him holding some trophies, and you're thinking, well, it's like he's just won Sports Day. I mean,
yeah.
come on. He's
Yeah, I mean
absolutely what he did with
they did
that.
shoot the actress. There was an actress who was playing Diana Ross, and they did shoot scenes
Yeah.
within 50. But I think, you know, Diana's people said no, they weren't, or they didn't want to had to be portrayed in it as well.
Don't worry,
And
Mark. Don't worry, Mark. It's all coming on the D. They're going to put it on the DVD and Blu-ray bonus bits, mate.
And
That's
that
all
good
there,
point. He
mate.
was
Don't
saying, if
worry.
you want all that, what was that? Oh, the Jacksons, Namdi help me. What was it called? That
yeah, the
American Dream or
American, yeah, the
American
Jacksons, the
Story.
American Dream, because that was a TV movie, and that was about the whole
That's
family.
all in. That's all in there.
Yeah, it was written by Sudan.
Yeah, that's
It
all
was
in there. But
Sudan
again,
de Pace, so to pass, and then they, you know, with the support of the family. So all the family supported the miniseries, and it meant that you could talk about the family and go in detail. I think with this type of movie, I think it's an impossible movie because he's so recent, and you know, unlike you do Elvis. Um, which was so far away. You know, you're just learning about some of this stuff. With him, I never understood. I always thought it would be one of the hardest movies to do because there's just so much to cover. And how do you do that? Now, of course,
should have been a trilogy.
no one. I don't think it's going to. It doesn't. There's there's no. If this does,
No, it should have been three. It should have been three films.
yeah,
Trilogy.
but there's
Should have been the
there's
childhood
probably
of
no
the one
stopping it.
and the rest.
That makes sense. That would be good.
I
If it,
apologise for the time, Lord. Sorry.
Yeah, but the thing is that there is a possibility because I've seen some scenes that were cut out where he was going door to door with his mum, Jehovah's Witness. There were other scenes. You can always do the flashback in part two, which gets too dangerous, and then decide, okay, between after the Dangerous album and then his Invincible, his fallout with Sony, and then his death, you can that could also be a third movie. If this does 500, 700, 800, they will do a part two, but then they'll be like, maybe we can do part three because there's an appetite. So I think there, and then they can always do the dream scene sequence and stuff like that. But as I said, I think for the first part, it's a balance of, do we make a movie that introduces him to a new audience and keep the legacy going? How many movies have they done on the Beatles? And they'll tell different sides to it. Now they're doing a 4-part movie where each of the actors are going to get a story about Ringo and Paul, and so it means that you can constantly do those things. And as I said, with the success of this, it will give them the platform to say, the director could say, let me do the movie that I thought I could do. Or the producers say, let's do the movie that gets the fans back in. Because I don't think too many people are coming out of the movie theater thinking, my biggest thing was it felt like I think I would have loved it to end before the concert. I wish they'd have ended it just as he's about to go on stage, and then and I think that would have been better. And then just before he starts, that would have been a great place to then the anticipation for part two. Um, but as I said, it's they will learn from this, and if it does what it's supposed to do, it shows that people are ready to see it again. Um,
The bad
yeah,
talk, the
but yeah, to
bad piece at the end when he came on doing bad, that did bring back some special memories because concerts for the bad tour.
oh
So that brought
goodness,
back
one of
some
the
nice memories.
ladies at my
Yeah, that was good.
office, she went to three of them, but she fainted in the first one, and so she said she fainted when he came out, and she was then they say she got taken to the ambulance, and so she woke up and said, okay, I want to go back in. It says no, we have to monitor you. So then, but she had already bought two other
Well, I remember
tickets,
telling you, I was
so
telling you
she
that
wait,
story where they used to pass bodies
your
to the
sister.
front. They just passed bodies to the front when he came on stage. It was, you came on stage, you put your arms up like that, and then when he came out, because like for example, Dangerous, he just blew a big jumbotron screen, and then he exploded out the stage on this thing called a toaster, and then he'd just stand there for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
He wouldn't move, and you would literally have your arms up, and you would just pass bodies to the front, anything. And then he started, and he just honestly, it was ridiculous.
See when you watch the
And fun.
videos, you think that it's almost made up. You think that that's not possible. How can people? Because no one else has people fainting in concerts. So you think, is it exhaustion or is it just? What do you think?
No other male performer has grown men screaming when he comes on it.
Stevie, were you at the bad tour?
I went to the Dangerous tour at Wembley,
Okay.
and I watched him. I don't know if you was there at that one where he put that rocket propelled jetpack on at the end and he flew out the stadium, and there was people running. There was people running out of Wembley
at the end of every.
Yeah, but they were running. They were literally legging it out of Wembley to try and find him. He flew out the stadium. They thought, we'll go round. He's gone round. Let's go find him. I've never seen anything like that ever. Just incredible.
That was
He went above the crowd, didn't he? He come off the stage. He come off the stage and he went up above the crowd.
Wasn't him, though.
What?
Yeah, wasn't him.
And then he flew out.
It wasn't
him.
him.
Do you not think so?
Yeah, it wasn't. It was it was David Copperfield. It's part of Man in the Mirror, and you'll see there's three boxes that come down, and first of all he puts the suit on, he leans down to get his helmet, and then he turns and
Yeah.
he's climbed into that box. So that box goes up. So he's in that box, and then it comes back down, and they wheel them all off. So he's already in the van and gone. And it's a lookalike with a trained
Oh, mate,
pilot, if you will.
you've ruined the childhood there, mate.
Sorry.
It's like someone's telling me Father Christmas isn't real.
But it cost $15,000 in that piece, and then he flew, like you say, he flew around, and then
I can imagine.
But it wasn't it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you remember when he did the performance at the Super Bowl, I remember because I had just moved to America, and then here I am watching, and then there's an explosion, and he's on top of this jumbo screen. Like, how's he gonna get down there? Then he's on top of the one up there, and I'm like, okay, how's he? So, and then he pops out, and he stands there, and I thought it was a statue. I didn't think it was him. I thought, what is because he just stood there and I'm like, oh, that's a statue. That's not really him. And you know, until he took off his glasses, then I'm like, damn, that's just so it's yeah. So and for those of us who hadn't gone on the Dangerous tour, because it's if you haven't been on the Dangerous tour, you wouldn't know the act and what he does and stuff like that. And so that was
that
definitely
Super Bowl was the first time that the viewing figures for the Super Bowl actually increased at half time. There was a 20% Super Bowl at half time because he was on. Never happened before.
Yeah, because my first Super Bowl was in '93, and I remember everyone saying, "Oh yeah, Mike," because he did the Super Bowl. Then I think a couple of weeks later, he got the legendary Legends Award at the Grammys, and he was on Soul Train, so he was getting American Music Awards. So he was packing up all those awards. So that was definitely him at his highest. And just when he was about to announce some tours in the US, that's when the whole allegations thing came out. And I remember it almost reminds me of the O.J. Simpson stuff when the whole camera is following the DA into his house, and it just felt like at his highest when everyone loved him and everyone appreciated him. This just came through, and it felt like, okay, this doesn't make sense. And that was supposed to be my only chance of watching him because he never toured the US since. Never toured the US since. Yes. But anyway, outside of that, what did you make of Jafar playing Michael? And when you think back at any other versions of people trying to play Michael?
I thought he really put a lot. I can't see him being a movie star for anything else, but I thought he really there were some moments where you had to remind yourself it wasn't, Michael Jackson. I thought he was really good. You're wrong, but I'm going to be too critical. But yeah, I thought it was really good.
He worked hard. You could tell he really worked hard at that. He worked hard.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
He had the
definitely.
voice. He had the voice.
Yeah.
He did really. He did really. I mean, can you imagine of having to emulate your
Exactly.
uncle? That must be incredible. So yeah, he could have been that part could have been an absolute disaster, because there was a time when they were asking Johnny Depp to do it, so that would have just been horrendous. So thankfully, Johnny Depp was rumored to play Michael Jackson. He says I'm white and Jackson's black. So yeah, there's been all sorts of stupid ideas in the past. So and some pieces you can see. There's the photograph of him doing Man in the Mirror. That's apart from Dangerous. They showed that at CinemaCon, be in this film, but because originally the film was going to be 3.5 hours long, so they've just decided to.
Oh wow!
It's the money. It's going to be 2 films, but this will do $1 billion, no problem. And I know people, the critics are saying all this stuff, but remember about Elvis when they missed the part that he wanted to marry Priscilla when she was 14. They didn't say anything about that, but So this finishes before any of these allegations actually started. So let's see
Yeah,
What about the
what
scene
they
of
do in the
Thriller?
second one.
The video scene of Thriller and the way it was shot and the way it looked. I thought that looked. I felt like I'd gone back to to the original video. I thought he looked a bit far fetched, but the old obviously they shot it. They went back to the original scene and the font of
Yeah,
everything. I thought that was incredible. I really enjoyed that.
yeah.
you got that wrong. It's meant to be the back of the hands, not that they did that, but it's meant to be that. They got it the wrong way around. Sorry, mate. It's really good.
Okay.
The
I would.
beat was really good. I would have liked to have seen the Motown 25 piece. I would have liked to have seen him with his brothers, but it just seemed, it was to me more like a TV movie. Then he did this, then he did that, then he did that. Or here he is giving some kids some toys. Did the
Do you know what?
office.
I would say that the humanitarian side of him. I think it was important to because I think it gets. Most celebrities would have will talk about Pete the war in the Middle East or um, all that they voice their opinions around that, and you have a few of them who have their charities that they'll raise some money for. They go to the public and you go on TV shows and raise some money. Michael Jackson got a seven-figure settlement for Pepsi for that accident, and he gave it all to the burned unit. Nobody does that. I mean,
The Michael
so
Jackson Burns Center, yeah.
yeah. So the fact that he felt as if there needs to be a change and he needs to do stuff, and he started to work on giving back to the kids. That it's important to highlight that and almost like because it I think people take it for granted that he's given hundreds of millions away to all these charities, but we've got children in need and red nose day that raises all the money and gives, and celebrities all they do is talk about it like, yeah, give us some money, we need to give it to them, and they'll do some little road bike challenge and stuff and raise some money. This guy took money out of his own pocket to do all that stuff. No one does that. People give 100 here there and get others to. And so, and when he has all this Heal the World Foundation stuff, I don't hear him say, people, please give in and donate. He's giving out the money. And so it was important that they highlighted that. And so why I was so angry with the critics is that they've missed the point about, okay, this is how he grew up. They were really dead poor. This is what he endured with his dad, really working hard. Because when they went from Gary, Indiana to their family home in Encino, it's like, even though it was quick, it just seemed quick, but it's like this guy really worked hard for his family to get out of poverty, get them out of the factory and to where they were. And so that was important to shift to say, look, Ed, there's so many talented people, even signed to Motown, who didn't make it big as they did. So it wasn't it so there was something about him and their talent that really took them above everyone else. And he still wanted to give back. And I think that was stuff that, kids who watch it will appreciate. Even the burn, watching that was horrific. I mean, the fact that, his hair caught fire. I mean, that was, I'm like, damn, this guy could have died shooting a commercial. I mean, health and safety. God, mercy, this is great entertainment. So there was so much of those scenes that you look at and think, man, it could have been so much worse for him. It could have been so much
But
worse
could
for
we
him.
not
And
have
the
seen him
fact that
do We
he's,
Are the World? Could we not have had?
That'd have been great. Yeah, I
We
forgot
Are the
about
World
that.
that
That'd have been
time.
great.
Could we not have that rather than 5 scenes of him turning up with a book about Peter Pan and giving some kids some toys?
no,
That would
I think,
because life is for that.
no, but I do think that you do have to. He has to have a sense of, I need to escape this world because it's just too. It was too
Yeah.
much. So you've got to do, because you can then just start to make a documentary and show all these things, or you can try and build a character of, I had to escape from the tyranny of my dad. But then even after I've escaped, look at all my brothers, they're able to integrate and have relationships. And I don't, and let's play twisters, it was like, it's like now we've got girls to see, we've got other things to do. And he just was inwardly. Now, yes, it would have been good to see the love life, but then again, you do have to decide what character we're going to paint. This soft, insular young kid who didn't have friends, so he had to find his own friends, which means that he continued to have Neverland and all these animals where he felt comfortable talking. So you want to paint a narrative that he wasn't weird, but this is why he became who he is. If you now show him dating Brooke Shields and Stephanie Mills, then what happens is like, oh, but he was a player. If you start hearing him talk like, yeah, so
but
this is
I
my
want people to know that. I'd prefer the
yeah, but that's the illusion.
it was
Yeah, Chucky Booker did say that when Michael was in disguise, he was talking in his normal voice. That's why he didn't pick up it was Michael until he went in.
that's
But
like
I
that pizza
think
sent you today.
yeah, but I think you bury the illusion of who he is if you then try and bring out all the tricks. It's like, if you ever see David Copperfield or one of these musicians doing their magic trick, and then someone says, "Yeah, but look, when the smoke then hides the fact that he's pulled the lever and stuff like that." It takes away. So I like his voice. Let's just the mystery of that voice stay like that, and let's keep the mystique around that. And I think that's, as I said, as a film, yeah, I would have loved to see the business part, because he had the scene with the lawyer that which shows like which show that he can think through what he wants. But we didn't see enough. I know, yes, you wanted to see maybe Barry Gordy being a mentor and showing him the business, but as I said, it's 2+ hours. I think they needed to showcase the music side so that they can generate the revenue to do a part two and hopefully a part three. Yes, I put the link, guys.
I don't think it'll get to a part 3. I think there'll definitely be a part 2. I've just got a feeling there won't be. I don't think they'll go that far, part 3, because the part 3 will all be doom and gloom, won't it? Won't be good.
Yeah.
It won't be good.
Yeah, it depends on how. Yeah, it depends on how they. Well, you know what? You say this. If a part one does 700-800 million, and a part two does the same numbers, they're now doing a Lord of the Rings. They're revisiting Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings, and there was a part where between the time that they accepted to go on the mission and they to get here, they're now making a film, a trilogy based on a couple of months in a book that just didn't get. So they if it can make money, they're going to do it, and if there's an appetite as well. um if there's definitely an appetite. So anyone else that wants to join us, just as I said, I put the link in the chat, and you can just, if you click on it, it will bring you in, and you can talk about your experience if you watched the movie, what you liked about it, if there's things you want to see in part two. And just like Benson's Market here, who's an MJ encyclopedia, so he's talking about they clap the hands in the opposite direction. Those details, as I said, most of us wouldn't have noticed that and stuff. Um, yes. Yes.
I'll be honest, though, it does. Mark, you do make some valid points, and you made me think now what actually wasn't in the movie that could have been. You mentioned a few things there. Definitely would have liked to have seen. But I went with me early 80s kid head on me, and I just wanted to feel like that again. And whereas you've gone, where's this and where's that? I've not seen this and where's this. I just sat back and enjoyed it, mate. I mean, like you said, when I said earlier about there's some things in that film that just like it's just I can't believe that it's just fantasy. What you said about the monkey, I'm like, nah, playing a monkey playing Twister, I'm not having that. And then he's got the lamier and he's got the lamier and he's walking it down the street, and like, I'm not having that. I'm just
No,
not having that.
actually, but then no, with the llama, there's a video of him of a reporter coming and he's introducing the llama and he's
Wow.
talk. Yeah, so that part is true.
And
With the
Bubbles
llama,
was
yeah,
fully
What about the
trained.
snake? What about the snake on the couch?
Bubbles was.
You know?
What
yeah.
about what? Sorry.
There's a picture of him sitting next to the real Quincy Jones, a video, and his python is
Oh
around
my!
as well. So
Wow.
those ones were yeah.
Muscles.
So I've seen a picture of him. What's the name of the snake? You see,
That's that was where he got the idea for the Diana Ross song.
oh, are you? You
You know
see that?
what though? I think what this movie did for me though, what it helped me understand, because I've always wondered the creation of Thriller and why it was so great and such a masterpiece and such a timeless album. You get to understand that now because he's had all that. He had a childhood, so he's had all that time in his head to come up with something. You know, the creation of it in his, and you've seen that in the movie. And I didn't know that before. Now I understand how the creation of Thriller came about and why it was as great as it was. And that's because he didn't have a childhood, so
Mm.
he's had all that time in his head that and like you say, the Peter Pan and the Neverland, and to fantasize about something that's momentously great. And the way he's working with that manager saying, I want to go at the top, it all makes sense now. He must have put in a tremendous lot of work, Michael, on his vocal, on his dancing skills, his songs. He obviously that period of his life he dedicated day in, day out to doing that, you could tell, So I'm grateful for the movie kind of touching on that and, going into that. And I guess if you've not seen the movie, we're kind of spoiling it for you tonight, aren't we? We're kind of giving it away a lot.
Yeah, but I would say that I mean we're not going into too much details about the movie and stuff like that, but it's definitely a movie that I as I said, the critics were borderline racist in how they were destroying the film, and
They always are,
because
man. They always are.
yeah, but I was like that. Okay, this doesn't. I actually, I went in there thinking, if it was any other person they appreciated, whether it's Elvis or the Beatles,
Mhm.
no one could do any wrong. They would say, "Yep, they were great. I wish they could have done more of this, but it was great to watch." But the moment there's a Michael Jackson stuff, they were treating him as though he was an axe murderer, and they were trying to glorify him, and it just felt, especially in the British press, they wacko and all that stuff, and they were looking and thinking, no, this is rubbish. That he was just trying to self glorify him. He, even though he's gone, we're still going to kick him down. Um, and I think they're the same people who were pushing the narrative that leaving is sort of escaping Neverland or whatever that was almost the gospel truth. And so if anything doesn't come close to that, it's not believable. That there's an agenda, and the reason why it is breaking these records is because the fans and the community says, "No, we're not going to let you destroy this guy again." So
His
they
record sales went up
you
10% after leaving Neverland.
yeah, but the issue, even though that the sales went up, I think that had a big impact because a lot of the media pushed it and thought, yes, we've got him now, and he's not here to defend himself. And I don't know, I don't know if this film was set out to try and clear his name. I think the film was to relaunch him to a young audience, an audience who didn't really know him, for them to appreciate him and be able to say, okay, we're going to watch and invest in him. I think I'd rather have two films that are 2 hours each than have one film that was 3.5 hours. I think that would have been hard to like. You're going to go through that kind of gritty. I mean, those long films that even in movie theaters would be struggle to get. I mean, it was 2 hours. I'm like, damn it, it's gone quickly.
Yes, it did go quick. It did go very quick.
It went really quick, and so, but as I said, I think the critics will be very quiet once they see the records that this movie will set this weekend and the following weekend, because now they're saying, well, maybe it's going to be front loaded. That means everyone's going to go this weekend, and then it will drop. And I'm like, I'm going to go take my kid to see it. And the reason I'm doing that is because actually I've seen it, and I'm like, I want them to appreciate the artistry and see where he came from and see how hard he had to work and see how challenging things were for him. And I mean, how could you have released Thriller and the I'm not spoiling for anyone that's watching it, but the fact that he's done Off the Wall, they've done this Destiny, they've done Triumph, and he's doing Thriller. It's selling like hotcake, and he's still living in the family home in his own room, and he has no privacy. That's and that's not that they just made it up because his brothers were all there. So yeah, Mike didn't leave until probably after the after the victory tour. Then he's like, yeah, I need to get out of here. But it's just nuts, and
Incredible, isn't it? It's
that he
incredible.
was the biggest seller, and he was still living in the family home, and he couldn't, he was still subjected to the tyranny of his dad. And so that was one that just got me. When he came back into the house and he was in his room and dad was dead, and it just saw his fear, and he's holding the door with almost fear, like, okay, do I escape, and stuff. And there's a video I just saw tonight when he's been interviewed. It's probably after Off the Wall, and he's been asked about his dad. Dad would bring out the belt and he's still afraid of him, and so that's just madness. So it's good that that was highlighted and stuff. Yes.
I mean, his brothers though, the Jacksons. It's almost like they were just an afterthought in the background, weren't they? They were just there as bit flat. What do they call people in the background of a film? What they
Extras.
Yeah, just like they were extras, weren't they? This is like the Jacksons, and you hardly they hardly feature him talk or anything.
Oh goodness, yeah. Okay. Was Michael supposed to buy
Right,
free?
when they did the victory tour, if you'll remember this, there was when they had the press conference, because there was the fiasco of Don with the ticket, we decided that you'd send your money in, it was a lottery, that they'd bank the money, and that was all wrapped set. He said, no, it's just just buy your ticket. And then to try and compensate, there was a press conference, and he said, I've decided that my tour is $5 million. I'm going to give it all away to charity. And if you watch that footage, his brothers are behind him. And he's like, well, we don't do that. Why have you done that? We're not giving our money away. He's absolutely brilliant. And then obviously, he hadn't told his brothers that he was going to do it. And in that film, they're all smiling as he announces it. And then he goes off, they're all good for it. But in reality, they were trying to beat him up. He had to get security to protect him because they wanted to do a full world tour. So I don't know.
No, but then can you imagine?
But obviously they're involved in it, so they want to make themselves look good.
Yeah. It's like, of course, Michael. It's like the story of Joseph and the multicolored coat and his brothers. You don't want to show that they were. That's where the film, the American, the Jackson's American Dream, it was better because it was about the film, the family, it was a three-part drama, so you had more time to really go in depth and show all of that stuff. And I guess the brothers didn't want to come out looking like baddies. We didn't. Of course, you didn't discuss the Jermaine situation. You didn't discuss. Little Randy came in to cover because Randy, is not involved with the whole thing. Because think about it, and this is hard to imagine, but Jafar's mum was married to Randy first, and then they separated, and Jermaine comes in and
Yeah.
marries his
Oh,
brother's wife and has Jafar,
She's had
who's the
5
star of the
kids
film. So
between both of them.
yeah. So it's a quite it's quite a troubled sort of scenario that there. So of course I can imagine Randy saying, I don't want any part of this. He manages Janet, and it's who controls the narrative of the film. But I don't know. I think I like the fact that Prince. I didn't see Blanket, but Prince is really has been on board supporting the movie, because you'd rather have a movie about your dad than none. And it's and if the success of this will just pile on others and stuff. Yes. But yeah, to find out that Zuto was saying that Michael was 30 years old when he moved to Neverland, that's
wow.
remarkable. That's remarkable. I mean, that's definitely a remarkable thing. The
It's a
fact that
video Say with Paul McCartney that was filmed at Sycamore Valley Ranch, and he loved it so much he bought it, and that became Neverland.
oh,
Wow.
okay, yeah, I would do. It would have been good to talk about the Beatles stuff, but I think there's so much politics around that, because that catalog, his outspokenness with Sony, the fact that after he died, the estate sold it to Sony, which he didn't never wanted to do. So I think it will be they may skip through anything like the catalog purchase, because they probably just do not want to open a can of worms from that point of view. But we'll see. We'll see.
Well, McCartney is in part 2. Who's playing McCartney in part 2? So
Yeah,
they
because
must address it at some
they're
point.
doing the movie. They're doing as I mentioned, they're filming the Beatles story, but they're filming four movies about each of the characters, and they're all going to interplay. But they're saying that Paul Mescal is actually who's playing Paul in the movie. Maybe it's Universal up. Maybe it's the same producer who's doing it. I don't know why. How he's now going to be able to have him reprise the role of Paul McCartney in this. Who's producing it? I do wonder who's producing the Beatles movie. Um, yes, okay. Um, Beatles movie. Let me see. It is
Stevie, did you buy the
produced by
album? Did you
Sony.
buy the Michael album?
No, I had it in my hand today and I put it back on the shelf.
I saw that. I watched
Oh,
the video.
okay.
I mean, it'd be nice. It'd be a nice collector's piece just to to buy the vinyl, keep it sealed, because we've all got the tracks on CDs. So the beat you just wouldn't play it, would you? It's more of it's just a nice Michael. I
No.
suppose it's for the younger generation as well who just get into that's it's a good starting point. Buy that soundtrack, and then if they like it, go and buy Thriller, because you're getting half the Thriller album. Then you can go and buy the Thriller album, Off the Wall and Bad. But I didn't buy it anyway, unfortunately. I did after I come out of the movie. I was like, "Oh, I really wanted to buy it then."
And you want,
Buy.
but it's no. There's all the songs are the same though. Well, I mean, there's no.
There's
What would
nothing.
be?
There's not. It's all stuff that you've got a million times before.
Yeah. Did it make you want to go back and watch? There's another what?
Is there?
There's another album. Yeah, they're currently. Nico's Dark Child's got a few. They're trying to negotiate for kind of demo album.
That'd be good. That'd be good.
I wondered if they were able to get any of the songs from Will I Am.
Don't know, because he's and the family's got the vocals, because at that point Jackson was so paranoid he had everything split, so he kept vocals and the producers had the music. Only got the musicals.
That can stay in the can for me. I can't. I think that'll be terrible. Will I Am.
There's one I'd really love to. I know you know Rodney quite well, Namdi, but he did one coach on all the Jackson fans want Rampage.
Oh, what was it like then? Because have you heard it?
I'll send you a link. Yeah, he plays a very small segment, and it's unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable.
Did he say why he didn't release it?
No, it's just he had a lot of demos. He just had some demos. He calls them his gems, and they just never saw the light of day. There's a little piece on YouTube where he's chatting to his pal, and he's just looking through on his computer all these demos. Oh, listen to this one, and it's amazing.
Oh goodness! I wish if I'd known about it when he came on, I would have asked him about that.
Did you hear the demo album of Thriller, the whole demo album of it?
Is that the one with Starlight?
Yeah. Did you hear that album? It's got the demo of Human Nature and all the different,
Yeah, I've got the extended.
I've got a CD of that.
Living in My Life.
Yeah, that one that was on. That was
version of Lady in My Life, which
I've listened to it once and I've not. It's just too long.
I've got the Japanese version of Thriller, which has got an extra track on called "Got the Hearts."
Yes, it's a good track.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Is there? I mean, I would have thought them.
Which one? Sorry.
Days of Gloucestershire.
I've not heard that.
People all over the world. That's a demo. That's a good one. Namdi, what more can I give? I sent you that one today. You asked me.
Yeah, I was surprised how well that performance in 2001. I don't think I saw that, and I was in the States at that time. I don't know where that was. I don't remember seeing that.
Just after the World Trade Center bombings, it was about 2 weeks later. He did that.
Oh, maybe so. It was so. Oh goodness! So that might because I'm surprised I missed that on TV at the time because we're so busy with the. Okay. And he got all his people, and Sony didn't want to push it.
No, he couldn't fully release because he went out with him because they'd spent $40 million on Invincible, and they said they'd kind of maybe spent a bit too much. Unfortunately, as most artists do. Say again.
$40 million on the album.
Album of all time. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah. He recorded two songs. It was that late. Your Wife only added to the album about a week before it went to pressing. But yeah, so he got really upset because they wouldn't promote it. Originally nerdy now, but originally the title track, he wanted Unbreakable to be the initial music video. He wanted a budget of $8 million, and Mel Gibson was zero. It was just going to be this absolute monster of a music video. Wow. And they just said, "You Rock My World" instead. And there's this famous story where the reason he wears the fedora and the bandana is because he looked at himself in the mirror and he was so upset. He ran into the dressing room, like his caravan, cut all his hair off. He just cut all his hair off. He was so upset. He's like, I look awful. So they had to put the bandana around him and the hat. He was so upset about it. and they want to do the video, which is why most of the dance routines nicked from Smooth Criminal. But he got his mate Marlon Brando paid him $1 million, sound incoherent on the video as he did. Yeah.
Yeah, goodness. I mean, I don't know what was going through his mind that he overspent on that album, because and it didn't, it just felt like it wasn't coherent, with the Dark Child tracks, the sort of tracks that Teddy did, was involved with, and then the ones in the middle. Yes. Anyway,
Remind me, how many kids has Michael Jackson got?
3, right? Paris, Blanket,
Well,
and Prince.
Yeah, there is a rumor that
Okay.
Omar Batiste is actually his son, but not that.
Who?
Omar
Who's that?
I'll send you a link. It's called Omar Batiste. I'll send you a link after. It looks just
Who were 3T then? Were they? Who were
His nephews,
them boys? 3T were they?
Yeah, they were.
So they were sons of the Jacksons then. They were sons of the Jacksons, yeah.
Tito Jackson.
Tito.
Yeah, Tito Jackson. Yeah.
What happened to 3T? Because they made it. That album was all right, Wasn't it? There's some good stuff on that album in the 90s.
That was on the
It just sort of like disappeared. Yeah, and then after that, they just sort of like, I think they did. Yeah, they just disappeared, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean,
I'll go. I've talked for too long.
That's been great having you, mate. It's been great.
No,
go on.
Nandi knows this story, but it's a funny story. So when Invincible didn't sell very well, so do you remember our Price Records, all the discount stuff? So I go into our Price Records and this bargain back Invincible 9, and I couldn't bear the thought of it being in the bargain bucket. So I took them out and I went over. There was like 5 of them, and I went over to the counter and I bought them all. And the guy said, "Do you really need 5 copies?" I said, "Well, I can't bear to see it in the bargain bucket." And he laughed and he said, "Well, as soon as you've gone, mate, I'm going to chuck a lot more in there." I said, "How many have you got?" Of Invincible, so it wasn't in the bargain bucket in the shop. That's how bad I was.
Oh, have you still got a box of them? I bet you got a box of them in your loft, haven't you?
I start giving them out for Christmas and birthday presents.
Brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
It'd come up. Michael Jackson's Invincible. Yeah, Michael Jackson sold the most copies in like the northwest of England through one guy, and it was you, Mark.
My friends still rib me for it now. They still take the mic. Every time they see Invincible on discount, they'll send me a picture to say, "Do you want to see it for you?" Yeah. Because I was one of the idiots. If you remember when it first came out, it was released in 5 different colours.
Yeah.
Like red. I bought them all.
I can imagine. I bet you did.
Vinyl. CD.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Anyway, it's definitely good that you joined in. And
great to talk to you, Mark. Seriously, great.
Really good. Thanks. Yeah. Well, I remember you, Stevie, from Expansion Records. The first time I saw this channel, I thought, I know that guy.
Wow.
I recognise him. I was like you. I used to get the train from Leyland on a Saturday morning, and used to go there, and I used to buy stuff. You remember them? But yeah, Expansion, that was my favourite place.
What did you buy in Expansion? What sort of stuff was you buying?
I was just Jack Swing, just CDs.
How did we never talk then? I can't believe that.
He used to call you Jack. You knew Jack Swing mad you, and then he used to say you were born the wrong colour, because that was after like all the guy stuff and everything. He said to me, "You're born the wrong colour." Yeah. So, but yeah, I used to only see the albums from there. I still remember getting Basic Black from there, and yeah, I loved it.
Wow.
Wow.
I can't believe we never spoke, mate. All them year, cannot believe when we're in the same
I
stuff.
know.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad you found
Well,
this.
you
I'm
got
glad
me.
you found this podcast, though. Glad you found us.
Well, you got me back in. You got me by to start buying all my vinyl back again. So I had to get rid of it all. So I've been going out and you like links to
Matt,
shops
I
you
love
might
it,
want to
mate.
have
At
a
least
look
you're
at.
picking
But
them
yeah,
up
I've
cheap.
been
You can pick all them bits up cheap now
oh,
because they're all
really?
bargain bins,
Yeah,
aren't they?
really. Yeah, believe it. That one in Southport, he didn't have a clue. So I said, "What? How much it? Or £1.50 or £2, mate. Just grab what you want." I was all right. Yeah, it's been sitting in my bed for £1.50 on 12. Oh, I love that. And then I got Randy and the Gypsies perpetrators. I didn't have that on 12. Not that Randy's, but
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
So
No,
I,
we will do that. We
I'm
will
on
do
it.
that.
I'm
Okay,
on
I
it.
think we got. Okay, so
Yeah, I've got quite a few. Oh, you've got
okay,
so
yes.
thanks so much for letting me stay on for so long.
Oh, Jackie, disappeared. Okay, all right, that's fine. No, otherwise, yes. Okay, but yes, it was good hearing from you. Okay, she's coming back now.
Take care, Mike.
Take it back.
Thanks, Andy.
Okay, thanks, Vince. Jackie, how you doing?
Hi. Oh, is it over?
No. Go ahead. Just want to hear
Okay.
your. Yes. Did you get to see the
Thank
movie?
you. Yes, I watched it on Thursday. This is my first time ever doing this, but I'm so passionate about it. I'm just going. And this is the shirt my friend made for me to watch the movie.
Oh my goodness.
Um, yes. I'm not going to say any spoilers, but I just wanted to add that I do think that the reason the response is so big is because there's a psychological aspect to it. Being born in 74 and when he did the one scene with Billie Jean, which is not a spoiler, I hope, or,
No.
it took me right back to the little kitchen with my mom and 6 other siblings, a little TV in the kitchen, and my mom just losing it watching him.
Wow.
Like, that's what the thing, it's like you relive those moments in your childhood, the sleepovers where you put on that fake concert or competition show with your cousins. And Jafar Jackson's going to win the Oscar. I've said it on Reddit. Oscars, they're already saying no, but you heard it here first. And thanks for having the show. This really brightened my day. This is amazing.
Wow.
Thank you.
Did you get? I mean, did you feel that when you heard the sort of critics? Did it discourage you at all? Did you think, oh, it's not going to be great, or what did you think?
No, actually, it made me want to watch it more because he had just so much hate through the media.
Yeah.
And it just made me want to watch it more. And I'm glad that I did. I was raised very strict and I wasn't able to go to any concerts. So I felt in the theater like I was at the concert because you lose, at least for me, I lost I knew he was big. Like I knew he was big, but you forget and you're able to see the fans and they show the fans passing out, it's carried off out of the crowd. And it's just great. There's a lot I want to share, but they would be spoilers. So I don't want to spoil the movie for anyone, but wear comfortable shoes, be ready to dance, be ready to relive those moments. We were gifted with such talent on this earth. And oh man, I was just doing the dishes and I said, you know what? I'm putting my t-shirt back on and I'm going to go on here because what you guys are doing. I'm like, how do they only have this many viewers? But I'm going to share this with everyone on my platform because this is awesome. If you have any more questions, I'm here for them. But
Yeah. No, did uh, when you saw Jafar, did you at some point forget that he was not Michael, or did because there are parts when I'm watching, and especially when he was, I'm trying to think about those moments when he was with his brothers and in the shop. I was like
yeah,
that. I forgot that wasn't Michael.
yes,
That was Jafar. I mean, the way he just the mannerism, the voice, and stuff.
and it's yes, because and that's what makes the best actor. That's why I'm saying it's the best actor when an actor is able to, especially not having really any acting experience, when you're able to embody someone. And it does help that his face is not super well known. I will give him that, but I'm only going to give him that. I'm not going to take away the talent. When you see someone and you start to forget that it's someone else playing that person, that is what you get for Best Actor. It's sort of like when Malcolm X, when Denzel Washington played Malcolm X. I didn't see Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
I saw Malcolm X, and it's like the pitch, the movements, the reactions to his dad, those really heightened scenes, and just the adoration with his mother. I won't go into like the moments that they had, but it's great. And it's not like a fever thing. On Thursday, I just went and I was there with my shirt, and I won't say the spoiler, but I thought there'd be another animal featured, but we'll see, maybe in part 2. But yeah, you just have to go and see, because it's like, if you've never been to a concert, you feel like you're in one. And it is absolutely magnificent. It's magnificent. So yeah.
When at the beginning, so people will know that Joseph was a very strict person, and Michael has said so many times about he get his belt, and there was a part where Michael gets whipped when he questions his dad, and it really, as a father, I just imagined my youngest son being put in that situation and how he might respond. So that was really challenging to see, and just to imagine how challenging that would have been, that level of fear and discipline. And because as he got older and he did his plastic surgery, and then he was like, his dad called him, and he's still afraid of dad, and to be under the house and not be able to power move, that in a way was I was like, wow, I don't think we understood what he had to battle to become who he is. I think the movie helped to say, look, this guy came from poverty, got beaten, he couldn't go out, couldn't have it, not just a childhood, didn't even have his own life. His dad controlled his life, and he became this big person, and yet we're criticizing him when he does this and does that and does that. We've no idea what it's like to walk in his shoes. So that that I think the movie did well to portray that struggle that he's experienced, and to build some empathy. And maybe that's why the critics didn't like it. They're thinking, no, don't feel sorry for him, or stuff like that. But they don't understand what it's like to come out of the hood and still have that confidence, and still come home and have nothing.
I agree with you. I will say I got teary-eyed. I have an 18-year-old starting college this year, and he had tics when he was little. So if he saw like Godzilla or any like Marvel hero, he would just have this tic where he would go. And I remember stopping him from doing that when he was at birthday parties, And I mean, we've addressed this before, years before, but I can't go back and stop that, because something that's just very natural for him, because he's so excited, but people looked at us. So I relive that in that scene, where he's just like, look at me, look at me, look at me. And it's not normal for them to do that. Plus also, when you're raised where based on your performance every day, or as a kid, based on your performance and how well you do, that's how much love or approval you're going to get. So you're doing that, and then raising that person, and then that goes with him into adulthood as well, whether he wanted it to or not. So, and it goes in there. And to have gone through something like that, I really think that he could have turned out like into like, he had, I think he also had like a body dysmorphia because of the comments his father would make.
Yeah, they didn't emphasize enough of that big nose.
No, they didn't, but he did.
Yeah.
So he definitely had body dysmorphia. And, when you're raised, I won't go into my like childhood, but when you're raised where the parents want to see you a certain way, and they want people to also look at you a certain way, and you're like sitting here, you're basically forced to become like a double life person. Like, this is me, and then this is me without my family, It's sort of like the way you would present yourself at a job interview. It's not fake you, you want to present your best self, but at the same time, there's this like relaxed you that feels in a safe place. And I don't think he ever had that, even with his mother, who, he had just, his adoration for his mother, like it's through and through, you can see it, but he just never had that safety net at home. So this is what happens, though. It starts at the home, and then we have them as adults, and it starts
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a
Um,
child therapist,
aw.
and I looked at it and I thought, did he ever get therapy just to understand that childhood, so he could have broken free from the ternary, from the trauma? Because what you would do is to then almost revisit what that was like and take away the trauma from that, um, and then when he hears his dad or his voice, or even maybe he doesn't, maybe he didn't wear belts as a result of fearing what the belt
Mm.
represented. So I don't know, but you know, I wouldn't want. I don't know if he would have gone for therapy, because that was something that he probably would have needed in order just to be able to feel better about himself, instead of having to have gone for the plastic surgery route, which was his probably way of just trying to change from the person that his dad kept picking on.
Yeah. I
Yes.
like to think that he had some kind. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I have ADHD, so I'm like, wait, I'm gonna forget my thoughts. So I need to
No, go
say it.
ahead. Go
I'd
ahead.
like to think like his friendships, like especially with Elizabeth Taylor.
Yes.
Just, I mean, this woman just, it wasn't like, she's a fan. She just truly loved him and treated
Mm,
him so well. So I get a little comfort in that, and knowing that he was able to spend time with someone who really saw him for who he was
mm,
and said, exactly how you are is perfect. And I
mm.
want to spend time with you, quiet time with you. So I pay attention to things like that, like knowing that, with his mother, and I'm sure with some of his siblings, but I'll just say Elizabeth Taylor, because that's who's coming to mind, that he had a protector, even with all her flaws, because we're all flawed, but he
Yeah.
had a protector, you
I
know?
do. I do wonder what his attraction, and not sexual attraction, but his what drew him to older women like Liza Minnelli, Liz Taylor, um, and Diana Ross. What it drew him to these older women who he felt comfortable and safe around. That
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah,
Oh,
that 'cause that was that just seems something that he had these French. I mean, looking back, I'm like, why is he friends with Elizabeth Taylor? They go anywhere with it. It's like almost like his best friend. I mean, so it just shows you that he probably just, there were people he felt he could talk to, who didn't feel judged with, and who
mm-mm,
nurtured him the way his
mhm.
mom did. Yes.
Yeah. I think there's a maternal instinct with that. If I'm doing something wrong, let me know. I'm more of like I watch all the shows, but I think the maternal instinct with that, like with his sister, Latoya, I think she's older if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah, yeah.
so he's got that older, like maternal, if you will, figure with her, and then with his mother. And then with the women, I think that that's something he sought out. Like if he didn't have time to spend with his mom, he just felt comfortable, especially with the women that accepted him for who they were. And Liz Taylor, she's a Pisces, so I'm going to throw that in there. If you want to feel special, and if a Pisces really loves you, you're going to know it, and you're going to feel like you're in the safest space ever. And that's all I'll say about horoscopes, but that's my take on it. So,
Okay.
you know,
Okay. Well, I appreciate you joining us, Jackie, to give us
thank you.
your take on it. And as I said, I watched it when it came out here on Wednesday.
Mhm.
Stevie went and saw it this morning at 9:30 in the morning, and I plan to take my kids um, late in the week to see it, to
Mhm.
watch it again, just to appreciate the legend that is Michael. And I know there was lots of questions around: did they whitewash the movie? Did they make it less gritty? But I think that's it. Well, what they came out with did its job in order to excite the community of fans and people who appreciate him. And I
Mhm.
think if you're a fan, not like Ben's and Mark, who's an encyclopedia fan, but
Mhm.
if you're a fan of just like appreciating, I think you won't be disappointed. You walk
Mhm.
away and feel like you celebrated.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's an experience, and I think everyone should go that as a true fan.
Yes.
So
Did you dance at the end of the film?
I'm sorry.
Did you dance in the theater?
Oh, I danced during, after. I mean, I cried, I laughed, I danced, I was clapping. Again, can't go into too many spoilers for people, but just, if you've watched it, the moments where
Mhm.
you really see him sort of reclaiming himself again, saying like, who he's trying to get away from. So obviously, it's like, I won't go into too much, but that was a cry. Like, I cried, I danced. The theater had maybe 4 people in it. I'm not like, I don't like to be around big crowds. So I went like at 12 in
Okay.
the afternoon on Thursday.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I was like the 5th person, and that was it. And it was wonderful.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. So tonight, I'm sure it's sold out. I checked the seats here
Oh
where I
wow.
live. So I can imagine that experience, like, because then you've got like a packed out house watching this. So
Yeah. I mean,
that's
I
got to
was.
be a whole other energy.
Yeah. I mean, I was. Yeah, there were scenes that I was laughing, I was giggling, and I think the guy in front of me would turn around like, "How come you're laughing there?" And it was probably just me seeing my oldest son, kind of, when Joseph comes into the room to try and get him to go on the victory tour, and he's
Oh,
holding the door, and I can just see that, yeah, my son is. I've got a son who's quite timid, reserved,
mhm.
and if he's been spoken to, he can look as though he very blank facial expression. But I just looked and said, if somebody's aggressive talking to them, they just will just almost be like a rabbit with the headlights and just stare back. And I just
Mhm.
thought, this guy is just so thriller. And his dad's popped into his bedroom and he's just looking at
Yeah.
him like what, and holding the door almost like, am I safe here? Oh
Mhm.
goodness, it's like, and people just, they have no compassion about what he's gone through.
No.
I remember the song "Childhood." Have you seen my childhood?
Mm.
What he's experienced, how he's gone through, and he's tried to communicate that to us. But anyway, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could see it too with Coleman Domingo. I still knew it was Coleman Domingo. I'm at no shade for his act. I mean, my God, it's Coleman. Hello, it's Coleman Domingo. But I could still see that it was Coleman Domingo. But he did a good job when Michael was trying to separate himself. You could see literally the control in the face, like in the body language. Like he was, if
Mm,
you could see you could see like where he was losing the control, and it was really starting to distort him. Like he wasn't standing up as tall. Like these are the things I pay attention to. So
mm,
it's like you could see it breaking down physically for him, because it's really about control for him. Also, too, I noticed, if I may, you could just say, Jackie, quiet,
no, no,
get off.
keep going, keep going.
I noticed too, which is not a spoiler, in his room when he was a child and also as an adult, a lot of references to Peter Pan,
Mm,
a lot of references to, a boy that never has to grow up. And
mm,
I'm pretty sure it's out there that, he viewed Joseph as, Hook. But it was just a lot of stuffed animals. Like I always notice, like the kids that have the most stuffed animals, it just seems to be like there's more trouble in the house. I'm a nanny. Not that I've experienced it, but it's just an observation
mm,
that,
mm.
the more stuffed animals there are, there's just, I don't know, but there's a
Yeah,
connection there. I'm not sure if I'm
yeah.
gonna get in trouble for saying that, but
No, no.
I'm not saying everyone,
Yeah,
but it's like
yeah.
you'll see there's just like an overwhelming amount,
Mm, yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So yeah. Sorry
yeah.
if I'm talking too much.
No, 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 no. Any questions, Stevie, for
Yes,
Jackie?
No,
he's like, oh,
it was good to hear when you came on. You said you was born in '74, and your mum seen that video clip, and she was that's the same experience I had with my mother. She saw it and she was blown away, and I was. And you've had a very similar '80s experience to what I've had growing up with Michael. So yeah,
yeah.
you get it. It is a big moment for us all who followed Michael. It's just and the legacy of him will just it's just getting bigger and bigger, in it, just going on and on and on, and you can feel like the younger generation are getting him now as well. So yeah, it's just a great, and with everything that's going on in the world at the moment, we need something like this. We need a film like this to get us back in the cinema, don't we?
Yeah.
You know,
Me
all the terrible things that are going on, and
Yeah.
really need it. You know, it
Yeah.
brings people together to celebrate.
And I would say that I generally haven't gone. I generally will only go to the movie theater for a Marvel movie. Generally, I mean, and the rest I'll wait until it's on. Yeah, and that's because it's like, okay, Marvel movie, I'm following the whole thing. So for me to, or when my kids want to watch one of the Sonic or Mario stuff,
Mhm.
but going to this, I was like, wow, the cinema definitely needs us to have these feel good movies, because the more they show them, the more we're going to go back in there. And I thought this was just the kind of movie that I would love to continue to see more of.
Mhm.
Um, and I definitely would hope that there is a part two, and fingers crossed they can even do a part three and
Yeah.
expand the whole thing and not rush it. And because if there'll be a definite audience for that. The movie hasn't even opened in Japan or China yet. God
Wow.
knows
Oh,
how that will do
wow.
once
Oh,
that
just
opens
wait.
there.
Oh, just wait.
What it will do when it opens in there. But
Yeah.
it feels like it's it has defied the voice of the critics who were trying to tear him down, and there will
Mhm.
be silence forever once this thing surpasses all expectations. And it'll be very hard for them to start to feel like they have any credibility. If you're writing and no one listens, and actually, the more you write, the more people are watching. It
Mhm.
changes you, who's listening to you and who respects your opinion. Yeah.
Right. I agree with that. And Mr. Street, the comment where you remember watching your mom, like, yeah, starting to get teary eyed because it really does take you back, and it's
Does
a memory that pulls you in. Like, it's a sort of like when you have a memory where you remember like a smell, like a soap or a perfume. It was able to just take you back visually to that moment, and just watching my mom as a child, you know, and just seeing I mean, she's elated. She's like, "Oh my goodness. Oh my good," and yeah, like I get
That's
it.
why I felt. I got emotional because I was, my mum passed away years ago,
Oh,
but
I'm sorry.
my thoughts of my mum are very much stuck in the 80s, because I had,
Yeah.
go to the cinema, certain records that I got at the time that she would buy me because I weren't old enough to buy them. So it just took me right back there. So it was kind
Mm.
of emotional for me going back to, because as much as Michael Jackson, it's about my mum as well. So yeah,
See.
you understand, you totally understand, because you've had exactly the same experience. So, I
Yeah.
understand. I got you.
Oh,
Yeah.
God bless your mom. I love that you were able to bring that experience back to like a happy moment.
Mhm.
And but I'm with you. My heart's with you there. It was like, oh, I get it. Mhm. Aw.
Yeah. Did any of you watch the Jackson 5 cartoon?
Oh gosh, I've seen bits of it.
I don't. If I did, I don't remember.
Yeah. I mean, they did
Yeah.
they did the reruns, so but it was on for only one season, 71. So I never watched it when it was because it came out in 71, but they
Mhm.
did lots of reruns here in the UK when it growing up. And yes, so I remember watching the cartoon reruns.
Mhm.
Um, I think this, yeah, back in the day, and then the variety show. But I guess it's yes, but the movie really they wanted to focus on Michael, and so it's very
Mhm.
little about the Jacksons and stuff, and maybe starting off, but they didn't go into any detail with them so they can just focus on Michael. And
Mhm.
when the tickets went on sale about 2 months ago, there was the big report that Janet had a fight with Jermaine and said and lambasted the movie, and it was almost as if they were trying to derail the movie by bringing out these stories, and then the critics and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
hopefully, everyone who has tried to put this movie to disrail this movie will be put to shame. As I said, when we get those numbers on Sunday, and see what it does, and then everyone would have to eat humble pie. when when that does happen and stuff like that. Okay. Well,
Mhm.
Jackie, I mean, definitely was great that you could join in and feel brave, because most people, I keep putting up links and I say, guys, come on, join in and have your say. Most people seem a little hesitant to come on live, so I appreciate the fact that you took that step and came to share your experience, because that's what we were doing
Yeah,
tonight.
we appreciate that. We do appreciate
Aw,
that.
thank you. I'm like shaking, and I'm like, oh my goodness, but I did it. And I'm just listening to you. And there was another gentleman, I think two other gentlemen, and I was listening to them again while I was doing dishes. So I was like, I'm going to stop. And I'm just going to join and have my 2 cents in.
Glad you
I
did.
say
Glad you did.
3 cents, but yeah, thank you so much for doing this. And if you're doing it again, I will be sure. I'm watching, I'm subscribing. So
Oh,
yes.
I appreciate that. Well, tomorrow
Yeah.
we're doing we're reviewing the Thriller album, and we're going to be ranking it down from to our favorites. So yes, be able to join us same time tomorrow as
Same
we
time tomorrow. Okay. I
same time
will.
tomorrow. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Thanks, Jackie.
thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, Jackie.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Tony, how are you doing? How
Can
you
you
doing,
hear us,
Tony? Can
Tony?
you hear us? Can you hear us, Tony?
Maybe he's not switched his mic on. Has he switched his mic on or?
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Ah,
But
Okay.
I
we've
was
got.
Good.
I was having both of them on, and I was hearing two things at the same time.
Okay. Have you watched the movie, Tony?
Yes, I have.
What did you think?
See, I'm one of those fans that, criticize everything. So I'm always looking, but I loved it. It was a celebration. That's how I looked at it. Instead of me going, he didn't, he really didn't do the next. So I loved it. I loved it. I saw it before, and even as some people in my family, I was like, go see it because it's a celebration. That's what I took from it. And as I was listening to you guys talk, and I heard other people talk about it. What got me is some people wanted more, and I get but you got to realize Michael's career is so
Yeah.
vast. So you could have just did a whole hour. You could have did a whole movie on him and Quincy working on Off the Wall,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just how they came up with stuff. For fans like me, those are things I like. Not just a little bit where he's working on this and then it clicks to that. I
Mm,
want to know. Like I love hearing Greg and Michael and all those people when they get together who worked on the Thrill album, work with Michael when they really
mm,
go in detail. But that's for a super fan like me, you know. For everybody else, this for me, it was great because it's finally time Michael get love again,
yeah. Yeah.
you know. And I heard you talk about you kind of as you talk through it, you kind of realize why Michael liked older women
Mm,
because
mm.
there was more of a mother thing. They cut out part of the lady said she cut it there. The who portrayed Diana Ross.
Yeah, I
They
saw
cut
it in
her
the
part.
credits like Diana Ross. I'm thinking, but that was supposed to be Gladys Knight that introduced them on the stage. So then, where was Diana Ross? Yeah.
Well, they cut her. They cut her scenes, some of her scenes out. They cut it out because of legal reasons.
Why? What do you mean legal reasons?
That's what the actress. That's what she said. She said that her scenes was chopped because of legal reasons. They wouldn't go into. You can't go into why, but
Mm,
as we already know how Diana Ross said when they came out, who did they stay with? Diana Ross. And Diana Ross was like a second mother to him. That's why he made her. If Catherine wasn't available, he would want Diana Ross to raise his kids. So it was always a mothering feel, just like Elizabeth Taylor. She went through this stuff. So she, and even if you watch tapes of him and Elizabeth, um, she, oh Michael, see, there's a way she's talked to him and way she
mm.
loved on him, and so I get it. I get it. The plastic surgery. What I wish, I'm not saying he didn't have this, um,
Vitiligo.
No, no, no. He had vitiligo. I'm talking about dysmorphia
Oh,
there.
Buddy the Small Foot. Yeah, yeah.
But what people don't, because again, like me, I'm one of those fans that I look up, I read everything. What people don't realize with him also having the same disease that the other one, the immune disease. Oh my God, I can't think of it right now. It attacks your cells. It's the
Mm.
same one that Tony Braxton has.
Well, I
Not
think I know where you're going here. I think I know what you mean.
Yeah, so a
okay.
lot of us in the court document, even in court documents and on a stand, the doctor talked about his plastic surgery. It wasn't for it was because when the scarring tissue, because the scarring tissue wouldn't heal well, and it would be to try to repair it. I wish I could lupus. Thank you, thank you. Someone said it in the comment. Michael has lupus, and
Oh,
that
I
makes
never
it.
knew that.
Yeah, he had lupus too, so it made it tough for just like his scalp never read because it would affect that. So even with his nose, they would go back in, and this is court documents because he's been sued about a lot of things and whatever. They talked about the reconstruction on his nose wasn't to change it, but it was to repair what didn't heal right, the scarring
Mm,
tissue. And no one knows that. And then so
mm,
he got to sit and deal with what people think.
mm.
So it's a lot, and they could have covered that, but
Yeah.
I'm just glad that JJ. I loved it. And I was telling family members to go because Jackson fans, as I consider myself one of them, you know, they have a different it's a different feel. Like it's L as he Mike would say, it's LOVE. It's love. It's about
Mm,
the celebration. It's love. And when I hear critics talk about he didn't they didn't go into the allegation. Well, excuse me, look at the timeline.
yeah.
It didn't come till then.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, and yeah, but yeah, I think what I am proud of, watching social media, is how the community, when he went on Soul Train and he sprained his ankle, so he couldn't stand up, he couldn't do the full performance of Remember the Time,
I
so
cried.
he
I
sat in
cried.
a
I watched
chair,
that live. I
he
cried.
sat in a chair and he was doing the stuff, and then at one point he kind of leaned up a little bit, my baby, and then he sat back down. We all went like, but it was like, oh, so this guy remembers the community. He got honored in the NAACP awards. He got honored on a Soul Train, and he came home, and people said that's our guy. And it was because I think after Bad, I think he was a little pop, and even though he was, he was global and everything, I think the community just says, hey, have we lost him? But he did remember the time, and it felt like a homecoming. The fact
Hmm.
that he even did the whole queen, African queen, and made it about Black Power and stuff, and it felt like, yeah, we've got you, Mike. No matter what you do, we've got you. This movie, then the community says we're going to go see and celebrate. Forget what this was more so than Black Panther. This is like, I mean, I'm hearing
He's one of
families
ours.
talking about we're going to go see it as a family to go celebrate this guy because we want to celebrate the legacy of one of our own. And I think that's been a massive shift about how we're going towards this, because we're not, after Black Panther, what other movie has the community rallied around to go watch? In the last 20 years, like
You
this.
said you said something. Like I said, we rally around them, and like she said, what the lady who performed, she said, what 74? When she was
Yeah,
born,
she said
70?
she was born in 74. Yes, Jackie.
I raised. I was born in '70, so I a little more time. And what it is like he's one of ours.
Yeah.
It's like he is actually ours.
Mm.
You know, and you're right for the black, like with the Black Panther thing. But what I'm like you said earlier, I'm waiting to see Japan and everywhere else because let's not act like K-pop is not a direct descendant of
Yeah.
MJ.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
they love him over there,
Yeah.
So I'm curious, but like I said, and they already taught. the head, I think it was the head of Lionsgate. He already kind of let it slip that there's a part two, but you know
Yeah,
again, like you could, like you said, it could be five, six. You could do, you can go through every album, and especially some of the stories that you hear from the people that worked with him and that knew him. I would love to hear I would love to see whoever, whether it's Jafar, play the story about when he went down to Brazil to do
they don't
they
care
don't care
about it.
about us. And when
Yeah.
the dude heard Michael real voice and Michael just scribbling, but I'm not gonna say exactly what he said because it was it was I know you heard he was like I thought he wasn't gonna ever leave. I would love to see that replay and just you know
Yeah,
yeah
I don't know if they would take away the mystique of the voice, because that was part of the mystique. Um,
yeah
but I think if they decide, if we did a part two and bring back some of the scenes we recorded for part one, and we still get the success because we haven't really gone past dangerous, and maybe we'll do a part three, they would see that people are ready to say it. We're going to support. I mean, as I said, everyone's coming out and say go watch it. I remember seeing Questlove saying, writer said, look, I'm an encyclopedia fan, and I know the songs and I know the movements, and this didn't come out at this time, so I had to put that hat aside and just watch it. And he said this movie would do for the cinemas as Thriller did for the music industry.
Mhm.
And he saw the early screening, and I think that is something that would be amazing to see. That even in deaf, he's still breaking records. That would be truly remarkable to see. And this shows the spending power of the black community, and maybe Hollywood would say, we've not done enough positive movies for the black community, not just international fans, but for this particular community, because look at how they're supporting this movie. Even the Whitney stuff, we didn't even hear the people. I mean, we see I Want to Dance with Somebody. It didn't get this kind of that buzz the same way.
well, here's the thing, as an American, and I share your sentiment, but knowing how Hollywood works, they're gonna take as much cash as they can, and they might throw out something a little bit to say, "Hey, see, we did this," and that's about it. Hopefully, with this, our people, our millionaires and billionaires will put together something and say, hey, you know what? Instead of us waiting, we can do something like a Ryan Coogler. All right, we filmed this. You want to put it out, but this is what it is. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying?
mm,
So, I would love that. But another thing is that the movie that they originally had it was long enough for two movies. The only reason is because the oops, John Branca, with the con, the disclosure, what they couldn't talk about.
mm,
And what I think all they had to do is if you can't name them, because usually it's like you can't use my name.
mm,
Me personally, I said great, great. Well, we'll go back and we'll name it something else. You can't
mm,
because if you come out and say that it's you, I didn't see you. We didn't name your name. We didn't whatever, whatever.
mm,
How would we know? How would they know it was you unless you say this is you?
mm,
But they filmed all that stuff. They chopped all that stuff. It is still sitting there. Even before that, they was talking about releasing. Even before they had to cut the stuff out, they was
mm,
talking about releasing it in April, and then following up with the second part in November. You remember how they used to do the movies where it start off in the spring and you get part two in the fall?
mm, mm,
That's what they're talking about because they got all that footage already. It's just, and
mm,
even when you watch the with this one, you cut. I loved it, but sometimes certain things seem like it was going too quickly and they had to, and the jump from here to there. So they got all this stuff.
mm,
It's just waiting to see what the numbers are going to do, which we know they're going to do, and how long it's going to do. And they'll it'll be ready to do. On a side note, you know who's missing here?
Who?
Who's missing on the line? AK. Where he at? Where
Oh yeah, yeah.
where he
I
at?
can't. Yeah, yeah. No, no. He's yeah. No. he's in LA and he was just watching the movie. So, but normally, yes, yes, yeah,
Because
yeah,
I'm the one
to
we found finally he get the right songs,
yeah, yeah,
And where you
yeah.
at, AK? So,
I'm gonna post it and tell him and say, look, where you at? But yeah, I mean, so even as a super fan, you watched it and you didn't, um, you were able to put aside something like, hey, he's using the wrong foot in that kick there. Or,
oh yeah, because you know what? Because here's the thing. First of all, except for some weird, I won't say I won't. Let me read. So except from people who go out and do who to look just like them, it's the energy, and like you said, it's the cadence, it's the little stuff, and then you forget because if once you, because here's the thing, I can't enjoy something if I'm always looking for a mistake.
mm.
So I had to, for me, I had to shut my brain off because every now and then there's a turn because I know what his father looked like. Every now and then there's a spin. I was, oh, that look like Jermaine, but
Yeah,
so, but then but it was like and then like I said, you just fall in love with you just listen to the stories. Some of the stories are not accurate, but like I don't want to say it because, like I said, I don't want to give up anything either. But but it's a Prince reference,
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
which is his saying. And he says it a lot. He said it a lot of times. He said it to many people.
If I don't
But
catch, if I don't make myself available, God will give it to Prince. Give the song to Prince.
yes. So but yeah, like I said, it was a celebration, and then to be with people, you know, I never got a chance to see Mike. We stood out live. We stood outside online for the Bad Tour in New York. At first outside of Madison, and then we had to walk all over the city and everywhere. They was already selling the tickets on the inside.
Hmm.
I never got a chance to. So it was great, and like I said, even when we were standing outside and waiting for the tickets, and they want us to leave, the man said, "We everything is sold. We sold out. We can't. We don't have any more tickets." So
Wow.
one of the fans said, "Oh, you want us to be that?" And we all started singing "Be That." It's like I said, it's a whole nother energy when you get into it, and you have. It's kind of like. I hate to say it's like church, but it is kind of like church. You're all coming together for one thing and for one love, and it's actually love. You like everybody. You see people dressed in glitter and whatever. And if you normally see that going on, so you'd be like, what is going on there?
Yeah.
But this time it's like, okay, do your thing. So, it was great. It was great. So.
Yeah. Goodness. Wow. Definitely, Tony. It's always. I remember that it's always good when you come on. And yes, I will pass your regards to AK,
Yeah.
so he knows next time he should he should make himself available and stuff. Um, yes, do you still think that how many times you've seen it once? Would you ever see it again, or wait until it's on?
Yeah. I will see it again. The only when I get a little more free time. So I would love to see it again. I would watch it over and over again because it's Mike. It's like a show. It's
Yeah.
just you know, and and the funny thing, what I told one of my relatives, they called two of my aunts, well, my mother and my aunt, and they used to call. She raised a lot of us, so they used to call my mother Catherine, and my aunt was more stricter, so they call her Joe. So, so I was like, I tell some of the families who my mother raised aside beside me, I'm like, go ahead and go see Catherine, go see Catherine. You get to see her. But I love it. I'll see it again. I can't wait to purchase it. Hopefully when they release it for
Hmm.
home, they have maybe to get the director's cut,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something,
yeah.
like that. But
Expanded
I,
edition.
yeah, it would. So, but I'll see it again. I
Definitely.
love it.
Wow. Well, Tony, we appreciate you coming on and being able to share your thoughts. And anyone else, if you follow what Tony did, and just click on the link and join us and tell us and help celebrate today. I think when you think of it, people do these live specials when somebody has passed away, like Whitney or something like that. But how often do we do a live to celebrate something positive, which is this album, so this movie, and what it's going to be doing for the community. And when I say community, I mean of Michael fans. But in the
Right.
States, feels like the community of the African Americans have said, you know what, let's go have some fun. Let's go watch the cinema. Let's go and see ourselves represented on the big screen. Yeah. All right.
Well,
Thanks,
I'm going
Tony.
to leave. It
Yes.
was nice. Well, I didn't give you a chance to talk, Steve, but it
No,
was nice
I'm
to meet
enjoying
you.
listening, mate. Enjoying listening, mate. It's just, it's great to share this moment with just random people who don't even know, just coming on and having a chat. Really, it's fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, well, I want to be fair. Was there a question you might have had,
No, I'm good,
Steve?
mate. Honestly, I'm good. Like you say, I think you've kind of wrapped up everything you wanted to say by the sound of it.
Yeah, I have to go. I'm on
Yeah.
my way out. But
All
I
right.
say thank you, and again, AK, see you. All right.
Thanks, Tony. Yeah. So, guys, if anyone else, we've had Jackie and we've had Tony join in. I put the link in there because we will wrap up in about 5 minutes if no one else wants to come on and share their thoughts of the Michael movie. But just as we wrap up, Stevie, what would you say about um, what you know yourself, the experience watching the movie, and how well do you think it might do?
I'm just happy that I didn't read all the reviews and give into the negativity. And like you say, my initial thoughts after seeing the trailer, I thought this is going to be terrible, and I'm glad I've proved wrong.
Mhm.
I totally understand where Mark's coming from, and what they should have done or could have included. He's right. There's a lot they've left out there, but I just, you want to go to the cinema to have fun and have an experience, and just forget about things for 2 hours. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And that's what it did for me. I mean, I came out of that cinema euphoric, absolutely euphoric. I'm ready for my sleeping bag now. I've had a good day, I've had a good day out, and I'm ready for my sleeping bag. And I probably should have shared. I should have went with a few other friends or something and shared that experience with them. That's my only regret. But I can go back again. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I can
I
definitely,
yeah
I
yeah
can go back
I
again.
did want to I wanted to go by myself and just to
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't realize Mike Myers of Shrek and Austin Powers and Wayne's World played Walter Yakov, who was the president of Michael's label.
Wow.
I didn't realize that was Mike Myers. I
Wow.
I didn't realize that was him. That is amazing. That is amazing.
But
I didn't recognize.
we've got a big podcast tomorrow. I've not even done my top 10 thriller yet.
Yes,
That's
yes,
going to kill
yes,
me to do that. That is absolutely going to kill me to do that.
yes. So for those who don't know, so tomorrow at 4:30 Eastern, 9:30 UK time, we are going to be reviewing the Thriller album, the best-selling album in history of music, and we're going to be ranking our top 9 songs or so, from 9 down to number 1. And yes, join us live tomorrow. Have your pick, and just enjoy the fun as well. But anyway, guys, we've taken 2 hours of your time. We appreciate everyone who has joined in. We'd wish more of you would have come on live to share your thoughts, but understandable. But it has been great to have this opportunity to share stuff with fans. There was a part of me that I was doing this, and I remember Michael's sadly his memorial service and how people united for that, and but that was a sad occasion, and I'm glad we could unite for something more positive and uplifting. And the fans have pretty much have shown the critics that we don't respect your views, especially not with the king of pop, Michael Jackson. So, for everyone who came on, for everyone who's watched, anyone who's commented, we give you, we're thankful, we're grateful. And as I said, join us tomorrow live. Thriller album. Watch, listen to the album, rank it your favorite, your least favorite to your favorite, and join us live tomorrow. Okay,
Yes.
so for me, goodbye. from Stevie.
Jamon.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that category.
And somewhere in between us, or even loving us, on which I didn't miss you.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple of pieces.
Trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No, okay.
They don't understand what Joseph Boyd winning all spirits.
Play it.